Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Namaduhu nasalli ala Rasul al-Kareem. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Pakistani Supreme Court has a unique opportunity to atone for the sins of the previous Supreme Courts of Pakistan. In the recent judgment in Justice Qazi Faziza's case, the Supreme Court has already determined in its short order that the government reference filed against Justice Qazi Faziza was in bad faith. After having made that determination, it is now logical to take it to the next step, and that is to disqualify the Prime Minister for having taken such an action. It is a very serious matter, and it is a question of independence of the judiciary. If the Prime Minister is not removed, is not disqualified, it will be a message for the future Prime Ministers, for the future governments, that there are no consequences if the government acts in bad faith and especially tries to blackmail the judges into submission to give judgments that support the government. The Pakistani Supreme Court has a long history of submitting to the government of the time. And this is a historic opportunity for the Supreme Court of Pakistan to set that thing right. These opportunities do not come very often. So after having made that bold decision that the government acted in bad faith, the Supreme Court should take the next logical step, and that is to disqualify the Prime Minister for life. This is a requirement not only of the law, the rule of law, but this is very important from the Islamic standpoint. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who do justice. Allah, of course, is the most just. And the Quran talks about standing for justice even if it is against your own selves. The Prime Minister came into power, has been campaigning right from the very beginning that he will bring justice. It's a movement to bring justice. And if this is justice, that to file references against Supreme Court judges because of bad faith, it would not be a good example, not a good precedent. So the Pakistani Supreme Court must look into this matter. It's a very serious matter. In other countries, the Prime Minister would have resigned by himself. But in Pakistan, unfortunately, the record is such that the Prime Ministers do not go out by themselves. They have to be forced out. And the courts in the past have not been acting with boldness, and that has been sending the wrong message to the government that they can get away with pretty much anything. So this is a unique opportunity, and we hope that the Pakistani Supreme Court will not let this opportunity pass by without setting the record straight. Pakistani corruption at all levels is because one of the reasons is because people do not have faith, or people know the judiciary is not honest, and even if they get caught, they can always get through to the process by hook or by crook. And the reputation, of course, is not without foundation. We have seen many cases where there were clear violations of the law, but people were able to get away from it. People were able to get away without any consequences. And if this particular case is allowed to go the same way, it will be a sad day for Pakistan's history. Pakistan needs courageous people, people who will stand for justice, people who are willing to set example, and people who are willing to take the consequences. The standard of morality in Pakistan is so low that it is an embarrassment. The whole world talks about Pakistan as if it is a banana republic. So the Supreme Court has a very great opportunity to show the world that Pakistan is not a banana republic where the government can get away with anything. It would be a great decision to show the world that the Prime Minister, the head of the government, is not above the law. If he acts in bad faith, he will have to face consequences. And this is a lesson for all the countries. In other countries, people have resigned, the heads of states have resigned for much lesser things. And this is a very serious matter where the government is acting or has acted in bad faith. So the Pakistani Supreme Court has already determined that. It's not a question to be resolved later. They have already determined in the short order that the reference was made in bad faith. And it seems from the short order that the court is convinced that Justice Qazi Faizi did not do anything wrong, or his wife did not do anything wrong. But they have given the government an opportunity to look into that matter. But after having resolved that issue of bad faith, they have still given them the opportunity to show that the judges are not above the law, that they are open, they are willing to submit themselves to accountability. But having said that, that does not mean that the Prime Minister can escape responsibility. That's a separate issue. The fact that the government can investigate the records of the judges doesn't mean that the Prime Minister, having failed in his attempt to oust the justice, should go away scot-free. This is a very important decision, and we hope that the Supreme Court, in its detailed order, will talk about the consequences that can result or that should result from this. The Prime Minister bears 100% responsibility because he's the head of the government. And to say that he's not aware he's not aware of what's going on, that's not a good reflection on his performance, that he's not aware of something so important as filing a reference against a Supreme Court justice. He has to take complete responsibility in this matter, and as said before, in some other countries, the Prime Minister would have resigned by himself. But in Pakistan, unfortunately, it seems the Prime Minister doesn't seem to care one way or the other. It's as if business as usual. And this will not do much to remove the corruption in Pakistan. It is about time. Almost 73 years have passed, and it's still going on the same way as it has been going on in the past. And most people in Pakistan apparently don't seem to care. But at least the Supreme Court of Pakistan should have the courage and set an example for future generations. And this will become a standard for future leaders in Pakistan, that these things bring consequences. So we hope that the Pakistani Supreme Court will take action and bring it to the logical conclusion. وآخر الدعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.